Toyota, BCWSA, Fogo de Show, Penn Community Bank, Chickies and Pete's, and the Capitol Grill Center City. Now, here are your hosts, Phillies Director of Fun and Games, John Brazer, and Mickey Morandini.
Welcome to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA. We are live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. I'm John Brazer, Director of Fun and Games for the Fightin' Phils, joined by my co-host, Mickey Morandini. I had to do it, Mick.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a very good one, actually.
No, it was kind of a half-hearted one. But we have a great show today, since we are honored to have on as our guest today a good buddy of mine, good buddy of yours, Mick, the very best friend of the Phillie Phanatic, and my co-host on the Backstage Burgoyne and Brazer podcast, should be Brazer and Burgoyne podcast, Tom Burgoyne.
Why? Why? We've only been doing this 7 years, Mick. It started as Backstage with Burgoyne and Brazer, and miraculously it has flipped to Backstage with Brazer and Burgoyne.
No, I say Burgoyne and Brazer. I do. It's natural.
But when you went to social media, it was like, it's Brazer and Burgoyne, so anything, all the advertisements, the T-shirt, everything, it's Brazer
first.
first.
Not just Burgoyne.
True. Well, he needs someone
I'm letting him on this
he
podcast.
Needs someone to talk to. He can't just talk to himself. All right, Tom, man, you have had a crazy 2 weeks, and let's get right into it because the Phanatic went viral, not just like in this country. You went international viral. Like it's I was getting texts from everybody, and everyone's like, "Oh, you must have had a hand on it." I said, "Nope, all Burgoyne." Nope, all Burgoyne. Nope, all Burgoyne.
It was on the Today Show.
It was everywhere. It was on Fox. It was everywhere.
It's incredible.
All right, so tell everybody, for those that live in a cave and don't know, why don't you explain? Start the Coldplay story, and then how you factored into it.
Well, everybody knew about the story. It went viral. Just the CEO and his.
But tell the story, just so people that don't know it.
Yes, they were at a Coldplay concert, a CEO of some big tech company out in California, I guess, and there he was smooching with the head of HR, which really made it funny. At a Coldplay concert, they do a kiss cam version at their concerts, and of course they get busted. Everybody's seen it.
They were hugging each other.
Yes, they were.
And then
they
ducked out of the camera view.
That's what made it funny.
And then Chris Martin, even Chris Martin said they're either really shy or they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing.
He nailed it. Yeah, he nailed it. So hilarious. And the next morning, I wake up and I get an email from a guy who works at the Phillies. He works in our ticket office, and Ryan Simon. And he had sent me an email, and he said, "Hey, the Phanatic should do something about that with that CEO. Do a little spoof." And he had Philadelphia Phil and Philadelphia Phillies being involved. But as soon as he
planted that seed,
he planted the seed. And then of course, my first thought is like, am I getting too old for this? Because I should have thought of that, right? So
plus I gave you a joke when I first saw you, so that might have planted the seed a little bit.
Yes.
Mick, I said, did you know Coldplay hasn't had put out new music in 5 years, but in one night they produced 4 singles.
Yes, 4 singles.
That's pretty good.
That's a good one.
I like that.
He stole it from the internet.
I'm sure he
was
did.
all.
Totally did.
That is good.
But now here's the tricky part, guys. I had to go down and convince the Phanatic, hey, Phanatic, you got to do something, based around this big viral thing. And of course, the Phanatic has no clue what I'm talking about. He doesn't know anything from CEO and marital adultery.
Right.
He's never been married.
No, he has no idea. So I had to kind of walk him through it, and he got it. And then he called Phyllis, who's
That's his
kind
girlfriend,
of
right?
his girlfriend, and kind of his main squeeze.
Right.
And she came down, and they did the bit up in Suite 37. Actually, we come walking in there. I'm in there with the Phanatic, and these people, had no idea what was coming in their suite. Random suite, yeah.
Oh,
and then they started getting it like, wait, what are you doing here, Phanatic? And I wasn't saying anything.
Right.
And then they were like, oh, we know what you're doing. You got the girl, Phanatic.
Well, they went viral too.
They went viral
They were all over
They were all in
everywhere. But it was a funny thing. I was up in the press box. I kind of go all over the place during a game. I'm up in the press box with Michael Barkan and Ruben. And I had no idea what you're going to do. So, we're up there, and I'm talking to him, and next the kiss cam comes on. They show like 3 couples, and then they show the Phanatic with Phyllis. And I'm telling you, like, Ruben was crying, laughing, was crying. We all were. And then they went back to the crowd shots, and that's the best part. They go 2 or 3 shots. One person said, I'm with my wife or something. Or,
yes, this is my wife. Yes.
And then it shoots like over to you to the Phanatic and Phyllis.
Phanatic's
and
still hiding
they're
out.
hiding, but then the Phanatic's peeking up to see if the camera's still on. And then he peeks back down. I'm telling you, and then he did it another time. I mean, it was perfect comedy.
It was really good.
Well, it is funny how, and then, it kind of has a life of its own. And, and not to mention, Fanavision did a great job because, they saw that, like, a bunch of people came to the game with signs.
Right.
And so the fact is the Phillies haven't done a Kiss Cam feature in years. And even when I went to Fanavision, I said, put up the, Kiss Cam, graphic. And he said, no, we don't have that anymore because we don't do it, but we'll find something. So they had little hearts on the screens. But then they saw all these signs. They said, okay, they told the camera people, don't show any of those signs until the 5th inning because the Phanatic's going to be doing something.
Right.
And then that first cutaway to that sign with the guy saying, this is my wife, really just brought it home. And so they did a great job. And it was fun to hear, people laughing in the office. I know we had a big day. I know we're going to talk a little bit about the All-Star Game unveil, big logo unveil down in Center City. And so our entertainment team was really taxed that day.
Right.
They were like, And Sarah Hartzell's works on our entertainment team. And I got reports that, like, Sarah just saw it and was losing it. And I said, it was a long day for, a lot of people at the Phillies. And it was kind of neat to have the Phanatic, bring a little levity to the
I'm telling you, Mick, how many texts did you get from people from all over
I didn't get a lot of texts. I was actually at that game when I saw it, and I was like, oh, my, that is hilarious.
It was unbelievable.
Well, it is. And the viralness of it is really interesting to me. The Phanatic's been around for a long time. And, back in the day, you would think, well, what, like Tommy Lasorda when he comes out of the dugout. Everybody has seen that video, but that's been kind of after the fact. It's just,
and if there were cell phones, that would have been, gone nuts.
Exactly. That was, back then. And I think of Batista when he was just goofing around with the
push-up contest.
Yeah, for what it's always goofing around with the players. Yeah. But that was one that kind of, but nothing really, we've heard John, David Shaw, who we've had on our podcast a couple times. He texted me and said, everybody in England is talking about
it went international.
What's that one? Daily Mail, I guess it's kind of their thing. So it was on their website. So it did kind of go international.
It was on Today's show this morning. They talked about it for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, Fox.
And it was on Fox, a national show.
Yeah. So it is funny how things like that. You never know when the Phanatic does something what might take off. But that one, I think, just the timeliness and had the whole country talking. So.
All right. So you mentioned you had a big week because you mentioned the Phanatic. You accompanied the Phanatic to Atlanta. Right?
Yes.
For the All-Star game.
The All-Star game.
So
absolutely.
tell us some stories from the All-Star game.
Well,
you had a lot going on there. You had the draft, you had the Futures game, you had the Home Run Derby.
It was always a great week. MLB started sending the mascots to the All-Star game in '96 when the Phillies hosted. That was first year MLB started. So the Phanatic's been to like the last 30 All-Star games, which has been awesome.
And every mascot goes.
Every mascot goes, for the most part. I think when it was in Los Angeles a few years ago, Lucille from the Giants didn't go because he knew he was going to get his butt kicked. Because they really hate each other. Right. It's like even Mr. Met when we've had him at birthday parties in Philly, and people are cool.
He's got a big head.
He does have a big head. But
so swinging friars invited everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Right. Yeah, you can't have a party without the swinging friar. But great time getting together with all those guys. Phanatic has a blast every time. And the fact is, it was in Atlanta, and he was catching a lot of grief down there. I mean, he was booed everywhere when they introduced the Phanatic.
Right.
At the it was just before they introduced the lineups on at the All-Star game. They introduced all the mascots. You don't see that on TV, but they do that in the park. And it was
Phanatic got the most boots of any mascot.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Like Mr. What about Mr. Met?
No. It was, and here's the thing, fellas. I don't know if you guys watching that game, but I got so mad during that game. Every time Schwarber came up, like he was the guy they were booing, not Alonso or none of the Mets or nobody else. Lindor. No, it was Kyle Schwarber. Like really, first of all, you're gonna boo Kyle Schwarber. Guy, he's a great dude. Second of all, he comes up. to win, in the swing off.
Right.
They announce his name, and he's trying to win it for the
And
National
he got
League.
booed right before the swing off?
Booed.
Come on.
Booed. And I'm like, these fans are idiots.
Yeah.
And I saw Middleton afterwards, and I was like, we stuck it up.
Yeah.
Thank God Kyle, just put it right in their faces.
They're just miserable because they're 12 games out.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly, Mick.
Do you think, speaking of that, do you think they have a chance? Is there an opening for them to get back in it?
Normally I would say yes, but they've played bad all year. They haven't had very many runs, and they have some health issues. So I'm going to say no. I don't think you get back. There's too many good teams out there right now.
Yeah.
And they have to – they got to play like probably 750 baseball to get back in. I don't know if they can do that.
And we don't really play them that many times, right?
No,
I think we got maybe 1 or 2 series against them.
They could catch the Mets, I guess, but they're 12 games behind them too.
Right,
so.
right. All right, how about the home run derby?
Good times. It was a little different for us this year. We worked the red carpet, which we usually do on Tuesday.
What did the Phanatic wear on the red carpet?
Just the pinstripes.
Okay.
The pinstripes. There are a couple guys who brought, I think Blooper had some, I don't know, this red fur thing that he looked more like a guy, I don't know. His look I didn't really quite agree with. But I think next year Phanatic's going to step it up because it's going to be in Philly next year. So I think the Tux is going to make the red carpet.
Did the Phanatic interact with the players at all? Is there, whether it's a home run derby or whether it's the –
He wasn't interacting with the players necessarily at the red carpet. He was trying to interact with Livy Dunn.
Oh,
as a matter of fact.
Now,
the Phanatic was on a mission.
Is this the Phanatic or his best friend that's trying to interact?
I was trying to get her attention too, but she, because of course the wives and the girlfriends all get dialed up,
right?
And she's with Steens from Pittsburgh, if you don't know. And Livy Dunn is just a world-class gymnast.
And your son is a world-class gymnast.
Yes, that's right, world-class. And
did you use that connection as far as?
Of course he did.
Unfortunately, yeah, I was indisposed, but it was the Phanatic who had the shot with Livy Dunn.
Right.
So they're walking down the red carpet, and they happen to have this yellow Lamborghini on the red carpet. I don't know, it's like an advertisement or, I don't know, people could win the Lamborghini. I don't know, but this yellow with the black stripes on the side. And the Phanatic had already walked the red carpet once, and then he was getting tired. It's hot. And I think they wanted the mascots to walk the red carpet again.
Right.
And Phanatic was smart. He was like, you know what? This car's right here. Phanatic's just going to be hang out by the Lamborghinis like it's his.
You don't have to do what all the other mascots do.
Correct.
Or the Phanatic doesn't have to do it, right?
That's right.
You're the king of the mascots.
Yeah. It's like, let them walk it again. So here comes Livy Dunn and Steens. And so the Phanatic, I love what he did. He gave it his
a
best.
big boy. You got to make sure that
he was a little nervous,
right?
But the Phanatic gave it the old, just kind of leaning up against the Lamborghini,
right?
And
like
just kind of
Chevy Chase in Vacation.
Yeah, and this is my ride. This is the Phanatic's ride. And she comes walking down the Phanatic's showing the car, and then he's pretending like he's going to open up the car door, let's take a ride.
Right.
And she looked over and kept on walking.
And what was Paul?
Did you get a smile at least?
I did.
Okay.
What was Paul Skeens?
The Phanatic got his.
What was Paul Skeens doing?
I think he was nervous. I think the Phanatic was
thought
moving in.
There's a chance that you could steal her? Phanatic could steal her?
He was definitely nervous.
All right.
That was the Phanatic's only interaction with her?
That was it.
That was it.
Yeah,
and then
it was pretty fleeting, Nick.
And then she caught a whiff of the Phanatic and said, you know what? He might look good, but he certainly doesn't smell good.
Yeah, what did he smell like, John? I always forget.
Well, it'd be like if there was a petting zoo on top of Low Tide Island. That's what the Phanatic smells like. Right?
I've never heard that one before.
Right. Worse than any hockey bag you've ever smelled. All right. Tom, coming up on the show, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about we didn't get into the All-Star announcement with the Roots because I know the Phanatic was up there as well.
Awesome.
Mick, were you out there,
by the way?
What a day
that was.
City Hall?
No, I did not. I couldn't. I was on the golf course.
Oh, you were on the golf course.
Life's
Okay.
tough for me.
Life is tough. All right. That's why, look, he's got an elbow over
I
here.
got golf elbow, I think.
Golf elbow. How about that one?
Some sort of elbow.
You got to come up with a better one than that one. You were helping Phanatic fight Paul Skeens because he invaded Livy Dunn. All right, come up the show. We'll talk about that Philly All-Star announcement and the Roots with our guest, Tom Burgoyne. You listen to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA. We are live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky Pete's. Our selection of seasonal cocktails make any meal better. Come sip and enjoy our bourbon cherry lemonade, made with small batch bourbon, muddled fruits, and refreshing juices. What a winner! Is fruit your flavor? Try a watermelon shandy cocktail. A smoky grapefruit with mezcal and fresh lime. Or sip and enjoy a very berry martini. All pair perfectly with our seasonal menu features. Come sip and enjoy at Chickies and Pete's.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at penncommunitybank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Bull Session. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies Director of Fun and Games, John Brazer, and Mickey Morandini.
Say live from Chickies and Pete's, South Philadelphia. I'm John Brazer, joined by my co-host Mickey Morandini, our guest Tom Burgoyne. All right, Tom, we left it we talked about the All-Star Game. We talked about, obviously, the CEO of Astronomer and the Coldplay skit. But what we didn't talk about is something pretty cool on, I guess it was last Thursday, right? It was last Thursday? I'm losing track of the days.
Thursday or Friday.
Was it Friday?
Friday,
you're right. It was Friday where we made the announcement that, obviously, and I think worst kept secret ever. It wasn't really a secret, but Philadelphia is getting the All-Star Game next year. And we had the unveiling of the logo at City Hall. And you had mentioned Sarah Hartzell and Jamie Trout and everyone in our entertainment area did a phenomenal job because they set up this stage at right at
Dilworth Plaza.
At Dilworth Plaza,
Yep.
City Hall, and we had Tom McCarthy was the host, MC, and he introduced a lot of players that played in the All-Star Game. So we had Dave Cash, Greg Lazinski, Larry Boa, Mike Schmidt. Unfortunately, was not there; he's out of town. But you had Schmidt. You had Lazinski. Boa,
Yep.
and Cash, and then you had Sammy,
Yep.
right?
From the 80s.
And you
Bobby
had
Abreu.
Hamels,
Bobby.
Abreu.
Yep.
Am I missing somebody?
And then Ryan.
And then Ryan Howard, right?
Yep.
And then Bryce. And Bryce was there.
Yeah.
That was great. So he introduced everybody up on the stage, and the mayor was there, head of city council was there, and then the Phanatic made his entrance.
Of course.
Was the Phanatic, does the Phanatic ever get intimidated getting up there with all those legends of baseball up there?
He just feels at this point like, these are his buddies, They're back in town. I mean, alumni weekends in a couple of weeks, and it's just like he lives for it,
Right.
He watches the highlight films from, like, the John Facenda ones from the 70s. I mean, that's how he gears up for alumni weekend. He was so fired up to see all those guys with the big announcement. It was great.
Of all those guys I just mentioned, who enjoyed their interaction with the Phanatic the most?
Out of all those guys, let's see.
So you had Cole, you had Ryan. I forgot Cole. Cole, Ryan?
I don't know.
Sammy, I bet you Sammy would have had good interaction.
Sammy,
right?
I think was a friend of the Phanatic for sure. They all are, but they're all stars for a reason. When it's game time, they're not out there playing with the Phanatic. They're getting ready for the game.
Well, of course, the Bull goes on cruises a lot with the Phanatic.
Yeah, that's true. That's
right?
true. Yeah,
Mickey goes on cruises a lot with the Phanatic
for sure
because his job is basically cruises, golf.
Yeah, it's job.
Right?
Come on now.
Are we still allowed to call it a job?
How come your title's not director of fun again?
Because I do more than you do.
Really?
Yes.
Are we going to debate this on the air here in the Bull session?
We can debate it at another time.
It is called the Bull session. It sounded like a lot of bull right there. Right?
Mickey, he's right. He goes on many more golf outings than you do, John. So he's working much harder.
All right. So, but you were out there. Did the Phanatic enjoy the Roots concert?
I mean, really, having the Roots, and really, I think it legitimizes it and just kind of wakes Philadelphia up to the fact that, okay, we're making the announcement. It's one of these press conference kind of things. Doing it in the city was cool. But having the Roots there, to me, really is like, like if you're just a casual fan, you're like, this is something that's important, And so they were awesome. I mean, they played like 2 20-minute sets.
They did Jungle
got
Boogie.
the crowd going. They did Jungle Boogie. And the way they
Cool in the Gang?
Yeah, it's just, they were awesome.
Has the Phanatic ever performed with the Roots before?
No, that was the first, and it was cool because Questlove came off the stage. That's when T-Mac went up, and his first thing, he comes down, he runs into the Phanatic, gets out his phone, he's like, oh my gosh, gets out the phone and gets a selfie.
Right.
I'm like, well, that's cool. Questlove's cool. And then the Phanatic's just about to get introduced on the stage, and there's a tap on my shoulder. I turn around. Oh, the Phanatic turns around, and it's Questlove. He goes, can you get a picture with my girlfriend? And the Phanatic's like, sure. But it literally was as T-Mac was making the announcement. It's like, I hope you get this in. I don't, want the Phanatic to miss his cue. But anyway, it really brought some celebrity to the whole event. And then, afterwards, John, after we unveiled it all, we took the rally bus out. And that was pretty cool because we had all the guys, on the bus. Great photo op of the bus with the logo on the side with City Hall in the background.
And you basically
we went
straight
around the city.
You went all over, so you didn't go straight back to the ballpark?
No. We went to first we went to Citizens Bank, that branch right there on Market Street in Center City, and then we went down to the Art Museum, and we get the police escort takes us behind the Art Museum. I don't know if you guys have ever done this before, but you can kind of drive up to the top of the steps.
Oh, okay.
And so I know some of the players are like, we've never been up. Like, how do we get cars up here, but there's a way you can do it. So we did like a half hour at the Art Museum, and then we went to Independence Hall and did about a half hour there, and then over to Betsy Ross' house.
And the players went too, all the players?
They about half the trip.
Half of them?
Yeah. And then they took off, came back to the ballpark, but the Phanatic and all the, a lot of the promotions group. We had Philadelphia Phil and Philadelphia Phyllis are back. Those first mascots that were at the vet. They're back.
I thought they were in Storybook Land.
You know what? Storybook Land has those big statues that hung on the facade at the vet.
Near the fountains.
This is pretty funny because, these costumes, a guy won in the auction after we knocked down the vet. We had that big auction, remember? And so now every time we want to use Philadelphia Phil and Philadelphia Phillies, we have to go back to this guy who bought them and say, hey, can we borrow these? Because we got a big promotion coming up. So people love them, So it's been good.
All right, so we had the Red Sox in town. You just so the Red Sox are another national draw, right? Boston Red Sox.
Yes.
So the Phanatic is just coming off Coldplay, All-Star announcement. Like he's been in the spotlight for, a long for the last 5 days. What does the Phanatic gonna do for the? Are you gonna do anything with the bloody sock, or is that too past?
No.
The bloody sock.
We're gonna bring.
Is that a little
Kurt
too passe?
Yeah, no, I think that's maybe not too current there, John. But as you know, John, we have our big retro night coming up on Tuesday.
Tomorrow night, right?
And Mickey, this is how we're getting old. Like retro night, usually it's like, we're going to go back to the 60s or the 70s maybe. We're going all the way back to the 2000s.
Ooh, we're celebrating 2000.
So is that uniform too?
The same uniform.
So we'll wear pinstripes?
It's the same uniform. But what is cool? Listen. It's like 25 years ago, so it really
is retro,
is kind of going back.
But we lived
But
it.
from the pop culture scene, I'm still listening to the Allman Brothers and the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, Mick, we're in these promotions meetings, and we're like, all right, what like retro for us is, is
what was
Columbo
happening?
and Mannix and Kojak. It's not, whatever
Yes.
going on in 2000.
So it is fun talking, and in general, the Phanatic just loves bringing the front office people into the act anyway. So, and usually Retro Night, that's when it happens.
And we have John LeClaire.
Yes.
And we have Mark Jackson.
Yes.
And we have Ike Reese changing the base in the third inning.
Because
they all played in Philadelphia at that point.
In the early 2000s.
And then it just happens to be where post-game, it's Nelly. Are you a Nelly fan,
right.
Mick?
I like a couple of his songs. I wouldn't
It's
say
getting
I'm
hot in here.
Yeah.
You don't have the whole Nelly CD
I
collection?
do not.
Now, has Nelly asked the Phanatic to join him on stage?
No.
Will the Phanatic ask Nelly if you can join him up on stage?
Yeah, we'll see about that. I'm not sure about that one. But the Phanatic has been working on his 5th and 7th inning routines. The 5th inning actually we might be bringing back Phyllis. Okay, Phyllis, who was caught, the mistress, I guess, of the Phanatic, we can call her now, up in the suite. Because The Bachelor, that show, The Bachelor, started in the year 2002.
Okay.
And so you might be looking at a skit that involves the Phanatic, Phyllis, and something, somebody might be getting a rose. Let's just put it that way.
Well, okay, if that falls through, you should do, right? The Phanatic, you just showed us a picture.
John's my idea guy, but he's the idea guy that we never use the ideas.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Some guy,
got a lot of them, right?
One of our fans just came up here and gave you a picture of the Phanatic that was streaking.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the Phanatic was naked, basically.
Well, that's if we were doing 70s night, John.
Well, no, because you could be playing It's Getting Hot in Here because Nelly's playing that night, and the Phanatic is taking off his clothes, and then he goes streaking.
Wow. Look at John coming up.
Right?
He finally hit with a
come
good
up with
idea.
that now?
Yes, it just all came together.
Wow.
So bag the Bachelor routine and do the It's Getting Hot in Here and go streaking.
How about
right?
that?
You're getting all
Hey.
hot and bothered. Next thing you know, you go running across, and then maybe you run to the Bachelorette.
See, that's when you
I'm
go
kidding.
overboard, John.
I'm kidding.
See,
I'm
that's
kidding.
where.
That's where we cut it.
Well, and then the other part of it is 7th inning. NSYNC was a big NSYNC, whatever.
yeah.
They were big back
Justin
then.
Timberlake.
Yeah.
Sure.
So some of the guys in our office are putting a little boy band together this week, and I hope they've been practicing.
Are they called Instinct?
Instinct, yeah, because
Extinct.
So is this actually the year 2000?
No,
Yeah,
it's
well, around that area.
Just
Yeah,
around that.
yeah,
Okay.
2000, 2005 maybe, but yeah, those first few years. But yeah, so that's gonna be a great night. Retro night's always a lot of
Who
fun.
was the Phanatic, basically? Who were some of his favorite players back in that era, 2000? You remember? Because that was more the Robert Person, right? And that was the
Probably Roland.
Roland was on that team.
Abreu, Glanville.
Mick, what was your last year?
I was here in 2000.
Right, Mick was there.
Who
Right?
else?
Yeah,
Lieberthal.
Desi Marlin.
Well, that's when we had all the
Wolfie.
signs up in
Randy
the,
Wolf.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if
Sal's
they're doing
Pals,
that, if
Sal
they're going to
Fasano.
recreate some of those signs or
They
not. I'm not
should.
sure if they're doing the fan groups. The
Yeah,
fan
because
groups.
you had Sal Pals, you had the
Burl.
Padilla's
Yep.
Flotilla, Burl's
Yep.
Girl,
Yep.
Levy's. What was Levy's? Levy's something. Person's Person, right?
Yeah, that was weak.
Who's one guy?
One guy. Person's person.
And then we had our CFO that was like there was the guys of the Shilometer guys, right? Shilometer. Whenever
the
Kurt had a
Shilometer.
strikeout, they put up the K.
The shill-o-meter, but we would call them the shilometer guys.
I know this is well before this, but did you ever take him on in the skate around the top of the vet? Did you ever do that?
No, I never did it, but John, you
I know he did.
famously wiped out, or your
No,
Billy,
my
your brother
brother
did. Yeah.
So we had the X Games. I'll tell the story. It's hilarious. We had the X Games, and because the X Games were big back then.
Yes.
And we at the vet, we would have two.
And we weren't selling a lot of tickets, so the
would have-
700 level was a little empty.
We would have two interns,
We had a lot of
or we
space
would
to
have
work.
we'd have competition amongst ourselves. One person would be in the blue; they'd be at the bottom of the upper deck, right, the 500 level, and another guy would be the bottom. One guy would be in blue, one guy would be in red, and we gave them fake names, right, funny names, and then Dan Baker would be like, "On your mark, get set, go," and they'd run up the stairs. But if you remember, you had to kind of jump a rail at that point. There's a like a mini little concourse, and then you ran up all the way up top to the top of the stadium, touch the wall. And so I remember I raced against Branderth one time.
Okay.
Sal DeAngelis raced against a couple, and we had a lot of our front office people that would do it, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
back then we were in shape and it was fun, right? So then we did this for a while. And then someone said we got to change it up. We need some fresh ideas, something what other game could we do? And I said, how about rollerblading was big back then.
Yep.
I said, how about a rollerblade race? And so I said, I'll go up there and check out like the logistics and see if it can be done. So I go up after the meeting, and I go up to the top of the 700 level, to the concourse, and like they're outside in the seats, it's probably about as wide as maybe 2 of these tables. So it's not that wide. You really can't have a real race and the stairs jut out every so often.
Yeah.
So you really have to someone's going to have to just take the lead and pretend like it's a race.
Right.
So I'm like, all right, who can do it? And everyone's looking at me with blank faces. I don't know. Well, I grew up playing ice hockey. I said, all right, fine, I'll be one. Anybody else? Come on. Nobody would do it. I said, fine, I'll get my brother. I'll get someone that I played hockey with growing up. I called my brother. I said, Bill, have you ever been on rollerblades? He said, no. But he grew up on ice hockey skates. He's like, why? I said, we're playing the Yankees, and I need someone to do a rollerblade race from foul pole to foul pole. There's going to be 35,000 people in the stands, which is a lot for us back then. And you'll be on national TV. It'll be a big thing. And I said, and you can win. You're going to win because it's got to be an orchestrated race, and so you're in. So he shows up, and he had sunglasses on, and he didn't have a helmet. We had to get him a helmet. And so we're up there, right before Dan Baker says, on your mark, get set, go. I said, Bill, and we're ready to go. I said, there's 2 ways you can lose. He's like, I knew it. You're setting me up. I said, he goes, what? I said, if you're too slow or if you fall down. And his last words were like, blank you. And Dan Baker said, go. He tears, and he's like flying. He's never been on a rollerblade. And he's like flying. And all of a sudden, what I forgot to tell him about was the stairs jutting out every so often. And so he's down there like his legs kicking out. Well, his right leg hit the stair, and he looked like he was breakdancing. He's spinning like on his back, and his helmet is scraping the concrete, and I'm seeing like sparks and everything. And it's a train wreck, and I just jump over him. And next thing you know, I realize I made it. Now I'm laughing. I'm skating backwards, and I'm going like this. I'm blowing kisses at the crowd. I'm high-fiving people. I'm turning, just doing. Meanwhile, my brother wakes up. Wakes up. He gets up in a puddle. He's got blood everywhere.
Oh,
he spent six innings in the infirmary.
It was a great visual, though, because if you're in the stands, I just remember watching, and then he just kind of like disappeared. Like, oh. And then all we needed was Howard Cosell there going,
right.
Down goes Brazer.
Down goes Brazer.
Down goes Brazer.
Right. It could have taken over the agony of defeat in the world and wide world.
It would have gone viral
sports.
if we had internet back then, John.
All right. Coming up in the show, Tom, let's talk a little podcast because we do a podcast together.
Yeah.
And we will tell the Jason Kelsey story because we have Jason coming up on the podcast a week from Wednesday. So, Mick, we have a good story for that. So that'll be our kind of our white whale right there, the biggest get we've got.
We've been wanting to get with Jason. He's been wanting to do it too, so it's great the schedule's worked out.
We will talk about Jason Kelsey and all that with our guest, Tom Burgoyne. You're listening to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA. We're live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky Pete's. Our selection of seasonal cocktails make any meal better. Come sip and enjoy our bourbon cherry lemonade, made with small batch bourbon, muddled fruits, and refreshing juices. What a winner! Is fruit your flavor? Try a watermelon shandy cocktail. A smoky grapefruit with mezcal and fresh lime. Or sip and enjoy a berry martini. All pair perfectly with our seasonal menu features. Come sip and enjoy at Chickies and Pete's.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free Checking Plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at PennCommunityBank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Bull Session. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies Director of Fun and Games, John Brazer, and Mickey Morandini.
All right, we are back to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA, live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. I'm John Brazer, joined by Mickey Morandini and our guest Tom Burgoyne. And Tom, we left the break saying that we have a podcast coming up. Now, right now, we've been doing the podcast since 2018, right? Which is we're kind of a little bit of the OGs of
hey, we are
of the podcast world.
Yeah, it's been a great run.
Who would have thought that we'd be right in the forefront? But we've had a lot of great guests over the year. We've had we had Charlie Manuel.
We had Mickey Morandini.
Long time
we had
ago.
Bull,
Yeah.
Greg Lazinski. We had Dan Baker. We've had we've had some like that. Dale Murphy. We never met Dale Murphy.
Yeah.
And he happened to be in town to sell us. Wasn't he selling like security system or something?
Yeah.
And then we grabbed him, and neither of us had met him. Same thing with Rick Wise. We had Rick Wise, the great one.
I mean, so many.
Jamie Moyer, but anyway.
Jim Cott. I mean, and that's been Mickey. I mean, you didn't grow up here in Philadelphia, but like for me and John, growing up in Philly,
absolutely.
and then getting a chance. Now we've gotten to know all these guys
Right.
and getting to know the mixter and all that. But to be able to like interview them in kind of a long form interview, 50 minutes to an hour, it's really awesome. Like
Right.
And
you've never done anybody twice, is that right?
Well, we have.
Just a couple people.
We had Video Dan because this
Yep.
video has a lot of stories. I think we've had Scott Brainerd a couple of times about giveaways, and we had Dave Shaw, who's
Yeah.
the UK guy, because we did it when we first met him, and then we did it around the London series.
That's still
Yeah.
pretty good, though.
It is good,
for,
and we've got,
8
and it's
years?
not always sports too. Like we interviewed the lead singer for
Mountjoy, Matt Quinn.
Mountjoy, and we had John Oates from Hall & Oates
Oh, did
on,
you?
which was
Yeah,
cool.
we had Bernie Perrant. We've had Joe
Bernie.
Watson. We've had Matt Cord from the Sixers.
Yeah, a lot of media folks, the writers.
Kate Scott, Sixers.
I love talking to the writers, like to talk to Jason Stark and Paul
Right.
Hagen and Salisbury. It's like to interview them about their, kind of their rise
Right.
up and how they got to where they are. And then, of course, they all have stories. It was really John's idea to, when we, to have this podcast, and it was like, we got to concentrate on the stories. We don't want to, rehash the same stuff, but like we kind of know some of their, the funny stories. So if you just prod them a little bit, and then you get them loose enough to tell some stories.
Yeah,
So
and I
it's
tell
good.
you what I like about it too is that obviously Tom and I have known each other for 32 years, and we work very closely together, and we're the same age, and we, people always ask like, do you guys prepare? I said, of course we prepare, right? Because I do the quiz, and we got to know the topic. But at the same time, we don't try to prepare too much because we don't want it to be scripted. We don't want
Right.
it to be,
Yeah.
all right, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. No, because Milt Thompson is a perfect example. Milt Thompson told us fairly early in the interview that somehow that he was ambidextrous, that he
Right.
grew up left-handed. And I couldn't wrap my head around it. I'm like, wait, what? He was a Jackie Robinson fan, and he was second base, and he's either had to change positions or change hands. And most people would change positions. He changed hands. Well, then that took us in a whole new direction,
Yeah,
which is
I've heard that story.
which is the great, why we don't over-prepare. We try to just, we know, oftentimes we know our subject, and we can cue off each other, and but it's been a lot of fun. But anyway, we've been trying to get Jason Kelsey, because Jason's been a great friend of the Phanatic, performed on the field, chugged a beer on the field, right?
What a performance.
During the playoffs. He has done a bunch of other stuff. So
Will you find out for me why the underwear at the
Yeah.
Charity
Oh, I did.
event?
That was the first question I think
Right.
I asked him.
Like,
we did.
On a podcast.
Why?
Well, you're going to have to listen to the podcast
Yeah, you gotta listen.
in a week and a half. It's called a tease.
If I miss it, will you tell me?
Yes, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. So anyway, we even like 2 years ago, we said, "Hey, Jason, we got to get you on the podcast." He said, "I'd love to do it. Just we'll figure it out." Well, his schedule, right? He's got
Oh
the
my
the
God,
late
yeah.
show. He's got the podcast. He's got like And we
endorsing.
So we'd run into him, and we're like, yeah, we'll do it. We figured the easiest time would be the summertime because one, he takes a little break from everything. Football season, he goes nuts. So we figured that, Tom lives in Ocean City, he stays in Sea Isle, I'm in Avalon. So basically, they're right near each other. So he said, where do you want to do it? I said, I don't care. He said, let's not do it at my place. He said, where do you live in Avalon? I said, 18th Street. He said, must be nice being the director of Fun and Games. I said, it has nothing to do with the director of Fun and Games. It has everything to do with who I married. So
there are no mascots living in Avalon. Can I just say that right now?
So we did it on our porch. He shows up in his big truck. And, of course, right from the get-go, and I didn't tell anybody. I didn't even tell Tommy and Wendy, Tommy Green. Like, they were supposed to meet me on the beach at, 2 in the afternoon. Our podcast at 12. I figured 2 o'clock would be, fine. So he shows up. All of our neighbors come over, and they wanted pictures with kids.
That was the amazing thing. Like, he pulls up in his Dodge Ram into the driveway, and then we're just hanging out on the porch just before we go upstairs to do on the porch upstairs, the deck upstairs. And, I think
everybody
these people,
knew, huh?
they saw him, they hear his voice. People were just coming up to John's, porch, just like, can we get a picture?
They said his voice was booming from there, which I didn't know, because we're in the middle of the podcast. So, then we
He's
finally.
like the Pied Piper.
Then we did the podcast for like an hour and a half. It went for an hour and 20 minutes or so. He was great. We covered everything. We didn't even get to talk about. We didn't talk about his brother really. We didn't talk about Taylor Swift. We didn't talk about the Tush Push. But we covered.
We covered a lot of good stuff.
We covered a lot of good
it was
ground.
fun. And then we hung out for like 2 hours drinking beer.
Afterwards,
it's noon, and it's like,
and then
I
had all these people come over. Tommy and Wendy were supposed to meet them on the beach. Wendy's yelling at me probably during the podcast, Brazer, not knowing I'm alive on a podcast.
Right.
And then I had a couple other people came in and just kind of
it was a party,
plopped themselves down.
That guy, I mean, everywhere he goes, it's a party. So it's amazing. What a great guy. He's one of those, really down to earth. He's exactly
fun.
What he looks like on TV.
Right.
He gives you the time of day. He's just really.
Now speaking of
guy.
Jason Kelsey, the broadcast does in the stands once a year. And the broadcasts were up in the 201, I think it was, right in the corner, kind of center field. It was kind of wedged in. I had to take Jason Kelsey down there, and it was fine getting him down in the broadcast because you're in the tucked in the corner. But man, getting him out, we had to have like 3 security because getting him out, it was like a wall of people that it was as if it was Taylor Swift.
It was almost like people were swarming the Phanatic. That's what happens to Phanatic every night.
But the Phanatic had something remarkable at that time when he was up there because the Phanatic shot hot dogs.
Yes.
And you took out the Aramark person that was holding beer, right?
Yeah, that was good. But then on the last shot, the Phanatic shoots a hot dog up there, and T-Mac catches it with his glove. And I don't know if you ever saw the little meme, the little viral thing with Tom McCarthy. There's a shot. They're shooting, and you got the bell in the background. The sky is like, how it gets at Cinderberg Park. It's like orange, flaming orange. And T-Mac is like a little kid with a big smile on his face, jumping up and down that he caught the hot dog. And it was the last one. The Phanatic just kept pounding away.
Is that hard to aim the Phanatic? I mean, I know.
Yes. He has no idea where they're going to go. And so Phanatic was just like, I don't think this is going to happen. And final one last shot, and that was the one.
Does the Phanatic do like the Rodney Dangerfield when he's up on the diving board, about to do the triple Lindy? When he's checking to see the wind.
Check the wind.
Right?
Yeah, he's got to
Does
check
the Phanatic do that with the hot dog launcher?
I don't know why this came to my mind, but remember in '93, the conductor was doing the
fan
7th inning stretch, I think, and the fan took his
the baton
from
the 500 level.
So he looks up and he just keeps going like this.
I heard somebody say, only in Philly would that have happened.
Right.
That's a classic.
Steal a conductor's baton, punch a horse, right? What's going on here? All right, and then the other one is, well, first of all, what is the Phanatic's favorite routine? I know you shoot
favorite routine.
Well, because they shoot hot dogs. We talk about streaking. We talk about, is there does a Phanatic have something that, I know he's got a foil. John Davies, sometimes is the Mets fan or the fake umpire. Fake umpire never gets old, by the way.
No, yeah.
It's coming, but it's still.
And it's really that evolution that really, for years and years, and that's why I think the Phanatic, really came to be popular early on because he was this mascot, which not all teams had mascots, but he'd goof around with players. He'd goof around with the umpires, with the actual, batting coaches and, third base coaches. And so that was such a new and novel thing. And so the Phanatic always did that. And right up until about, I don't know, it was 1997 or something, Ricky Martin came out with Livin' La Vida Loca and this other song. And so that was the first year that we had ever planted an umpire. And Matt Mailer, as you know, John and Mickey know, was a great friend of the Phanatic, and he was an actor, and he played all these characters. So he was just, and he was completely out of his mind.
Yeah,
Matt,
the wheel is spinning, but the hamster's dead.
Yeah, hamster is not alive.
Yes.
But I'll never forget the first time we planted the umpire, and the Phanatic goes out there. It's the Ricky Martin song, and it was Alejandro, I think was the name of the song. I don't think it was Livin' La Vida, but everybody knew the song. And goof around with the umpire. Next thing you know, Matt takes off his umpire shirt. He's got this yellow
sequins and everything.
Yeah, the sequin thing. He gets out a rose. He puts it in his mouth, and then the Phanatic, who's in this senorita outfit, they start tangoing into left field, and the place went wild because everybody
thought it was an umpire.
Yeah, because you can make the switch. The key is, Mick, in the fifth inning, when the Phanatic comes down the truck ramp, everybody's looking at the Phanatic coming across the field. So you can kind of make a switch if you have to. And so we did it that night, brought the house down, and I'll never forget David Montgomery, the late, great David, saw me the next day, and he said, "You got me." He's like, because he'd seen every Phanatic routine since 1978 too, and that had never been done. And he's like, "You got me." I didn't even know. He knew Matt. Matt was a front office employee. Didn't even recognize me. Just thought that was one of the umpires. Matt knows how to stand like an umpire. And so, but yeah, you're right, John. I think whenever we can plant those guys, it's always fun. Yeah,
it's funny. I always know. I would know the fake umpire, because Matt would always get out there when he starts doing this with his hands, because he has nothing else to do. As if an umpire is going to sit there going like this.
He scratches his butt a little bit, readjust himself.
But
a
I'm
little
sure
bit.
other mascots have tried to steal that routine.
Yeah, and listen, planning people I go to the Harlem Globetrotters. They'll plan a fan or the referee. Obviously, is not a real referee, so it's been done forever. It's just for the Phanatic, it had never really been done.
All right, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to tell the American Pie story, okay? Remember the American Pie story? Well, I'll lead you into you'll remember. All right, you'll get that when you come back. You're listening to the Bull Session, presented by BCWSA, live from Chickens and Pete's in South Philadelphia.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicken Pete's. Our selection of seasonal cocktails make any meal better. Come sip and enjoy our bourbon cherry lemonade, made with small batch bourbon, muddled fruits, and refreshing juices. What a winner! Is fruit your flavor? Try a watermelon shandy cocktail. A smoky grapefruit with mezcal and fresh lime. Or sip and enjoy a berry martini. All pair perfectly with our seasonal menu features. Come sip and enjoy at Chickies and Pete's.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
With over 7,200 square feet of 200 brewers in stock at all times, Pat Dion Beverages now features 5 different flavors of their favorite slushy cocktails. You can also purchase all your wine, liquor, and other fine spirits right next door. Visit us on Facebook or online at patdionbeverages.com for upcoming events and samples from your favorite brewery or local food vendor.
Think banking hasn't changed? Think again. At Penn Community Bank, we've been helping communities thrive for 150 years. From our nationally recognized Access Checking that offers the peace of mind of no overdrafts, to student and free checking plus options with perks that will make you wonder what you did without them, like early direct deposit, overdraft grace, and Zelle. Learn more at PennCommunityBank.com/products. Penn Community Bank. Here we grow. Account and feature terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. Ask for full details. Member FDIC.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky Pete's. Our selection of seasonal cocktails make any meal better. Come sip and enjoy our bourbon cherry lemonade, made with small batch bourbon, muddled fruits, and refreshing juices. What a winner! Is fruit your flavor? Try a watermelon shandy cocktail. A smoky grapefruit with mezcal and fresh lime. Or sip and enjoy a very berry martini. All pair perfectly with our seasonal menu features. Come sip and enjoy at Chickies and Pete's.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Bull Session. Once again, here are your hosts, Phillies Director of Fun and Games, John Brazer, and Mickey Morandini.
All right, we are back to the Bull Session presented by BCWSA, live from Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. I'm John Brazer, joined by Mickey Morandini and Tom Burgoyne, the best friend of the Phanatic. And Tom, do you remember this one, the guy from American Pie? You want me I'll set it up, then you'll remember.
Yeah, set it up.
All right, so I get it. This is a long time ago, and we are playing the Mets in a big game. So this must have been back 2007, 2008. And we were selling out the place at the time. And I get a random email from some agent that said, my client was an actor, was in American Pie and a bunch of other stuff. He's looking for tickets. So I'm like, huh. So I Googled his name, and I see that he played, if you remember American Pie, the movie.
Yeah.
He's the one who hooked up with Stifler.
Stifler.
He's the one who kind of hooked up with, no, it wasn't Stifler.
Oh, it wasn't Stifler.
But it was the guy who hooked up with Stifler's mom.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I forget his name. But anyway, I Googled him. Then I'm thinking, wait a minute, maybe this guy's a Mets fan, and he's trying to get tickets, right? Because he's a celebrity. I figured maybe actor from New York. So I Google the actor's name and put in Mets. And sure enough, there's a video of him on Tonight Show or Leno or somewhere of, with a Mets hat talking about the Mets. So I'm like, man, the guy never told me that.
Right.
He just said he's looking for tickets, right? And we were a hard ticket. So I had to think, Mick, I'd say, do I put him in literally the worst seat in the house, like way up there, right? Or do I put him in a spot where he's going to be vulnerable to the Phanatic? So I chose B, and so I put him up on the third base line. It's kind of near where the Phanatic could get to. It's kind of without too much trouble, right? Near the kind of where you come out, where the umpires, not umpires, but where the entertainment sometimes comes out, third base line. So I told Tom, and so the guy's in there, second inning or third inning, the Phanatic goes up and dumps a huge thing of popcorn
on him.
On
He's
all
a Mets
over
fan, Mick.
Right,
Oh.
and then
Got to do it.
And then somebody whispered to him, says, "That was for Stifler."
yeah, that was for.
Says that was for,
since he hooked up with the mom.
Stifler, right? So then the guy is literally, well, what is going on here? So I come by an inning later, and I said, "Hey, nice to meet you. I'm the one who hooked up the tickets." And the guy's still in a fog. He's like, that was the weirdest thing in the world. The Phanatic dumped something on, and then somebody yelled, "That was for Stifler." I didn't. And then someone said that your handler, the Phanatic's handler, will talk to you. So I think it was well worth it.
Worth it.
All right, now speaking of Hollywood, the Phanatic has basically been in Hollywood. One of my favorite commercials, they just showed it not too long ago, was the Phanatic shaving. With Derek Jeter shaving.
Yes.
And someone took his razor.
That's a good one.
Talk about that
That
one.
is a good one. Yeah, because remember ESPN used to always include a mascot, and that was one of my favorites. And maybe I'm a little biased, and it was a great acting job by the Phanatic, of course. But, Jeter comes into the locker room, and it's not I think it was like a tennis club, actually. It wasn't like the locker room, the clubhouse. But because you had Stuart Scott, and some of the other personalities there. And, Jeter comes in, and he sees that his razor has green fur in it. And he's like, all right, which one of you guys have been using my razor? And they're like, all right, not us. And then the Phanatic comes walking in. But the best part of it is, because John likes it because John likes when the Phanatic streaks. The Phanatic comes in, no shirt, but just a towel around him. And he just comes walking in the background, and nobody even notices. He just walks in the background, and he goes up to his locker, and he's doing the combination, and the towel just drops. So for about 2 seconds in the commercial, you get buck naked Phanatic, which is always funny.
Now, but that's not the first time the Phanatic's acted, because the Phanatic interacted with Tina Fey in 30 Rock.
Yeah,
and she was very excited To me, you were a bigger star to her
than
than she was to you.
I will say that was very, very cool. I remember going to New York the night before, put me and the Phanatic up in a hotel. We had to be there like at 6 o'clock for like a 7 o'clock. One of those round the table. They do a read. That's it, like a read around the table. And so they wanted to have the Phanatic there just to just understand what the scene's going to be about. And now, so it's like 7 o'clock in the morning, but they had a dressing room for me and the Phanatic. And there's a knock on the door at like 6:45, and I'm thinking, they're going to bring us. I said, just bring us down to where we got to go for this table read. Open up the door. It's Tina Fey. And she wanted to make sure, she wanted to escort the Phanatic to the table read just to thank him for being here. And this is really cool, you're here. And Phanatic was, really. And it's funny because she didn't no makeup. She was dressed down she just looked like a regular person, And I remember at the table read, Alec Baldwin is literally in a corner, like with his feet up. A cap is like he's still sleeping, and he's got like the cap over his eyes, and he's kind of just listening to the table read. I'm like, man, he doesn't seem real into it. So now it's time for the scene, and it's a big scene because they have a lot of employees are having a party. At the Comcast, at Rockefeller, and it's owned by Comcast. And the reason they brought the Phanatic down is because the Comcast people, the company from Philadelphia, is here. And so they wanted to bring some Philadelphia stuff. Anyway, they in come Alec Baldwin, and Tina Fey's got like the red dress, and it's just like they've all made up, and it's like, okay, there's Alec Baldwin and Tina Fey. But it was interesting to go watch the process because Alec Baldwin, they were doing all those shots. It's a rehearsal. They're getting the cameras. And he needs somebody to always, be yelling the lines out to him. Everybody else knew their lines. He needs somebody to yell the lines
right
to
before
him.
he did the line.
Again, it doesn't look motivated. I'm like, God, geez, this is Alec Baldwin. This is the great Alec Baldwin. And sure enough, as it started going, and then he knew when they were rolling he just totally, assumed the character.
Right.
Nailing his lines, and then he was nice enough afterwards, came over to the Phanatic, say, hey, Phanatic, thanks for being here. This was cool.
Now, how about
that was fun.
You've also done It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, right? You've worked very closely with those guys.
Well, the whole story with that was they couldn't use the Phanatic because they had a script that was really edgy.
Right.
That Major League Baseball didn't want to be part of.
Right.
And so they kind of.
That's right.
So they wound up doing a whole show in the parking lot. They couldn't use the inside. It's in the Bank Park. They couldn't use the Phanatic for what they went the Phanatic in a brawl. And, it's just so they had their own. They built their own Phanatic basically, and they couldn't even call it Phanatic. They had to call it Phanatic because of the licensing and all that. And then I don't know if you ever saw that the final scene. Rob McElhaney's up there and in court because now they're being sued, and they're dragging him off the jail, and he gets in a line and we know it's not the Phanatic, it's the Phanatic, and that's how the show ends. So they kind of took this whole idea of being shut out and made it part of the show.
And also, and the Goldbergs too. Sorry.
So when you do stuff like that,
or
the Phanatic does stuff like that, do you have to get MLB approval on
yes.
everything?
Yeah, because you're using the Phanatic is a trademark.
Okay.
He wears the Phillies jersey and.
Before we wrap up, talk about the Goldbergs real quick.
Goldberg's awesome. That he's done a couple shows. One was out there. One of the coolest was they converted LA Coliseum to look like the Vet because that show's based in the '80s. So that was pretty neat. Just to walk on that, and then to be on the set a couple years later, which was just wild too. It's so much fun.
Think about this. You, as best friend of the Phanatic, you're always with the Phanatic.
Exactly.
That you're hanging out with rock stars, performing with the rock stars, performing with movie stars.
I know.
Right? Interacting with politicians.
But it's John. He's got a massive ego. I mean, it sounds like this is all fun and games, but to have to deal with the Phanatic, his head's as big as because he's been hanging out with all these celebrities. So I'm just like this peon that has to put up with it.
Stay grounded.
There you go.
Right on.
All right, and that wraps up this week's Bull Session presented by BCWSA. I'd like to thank my co-host Mickey Morandini, our guest today, Tom Burgoyne, back in the studio, Gus Barber, our on-site engineer, Chris Ermer. Thanks also to Pete Shiroki, Tommy Shiroki, Alyssa, everybody else, a great staff here at Chickens and Pete's in South Philadelphia for hosting us today. We're going to be back next Monday at 6 p.m. Chickens and Pete's at the Parks Casino in Bensalem. Mickey, you're going to be back as my co-host.
Yep.
And Phillies legend Larry Boa will be our guest. So have a great week. And as the late, great Harry the K says,
Outta here.